call. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to this open house, which is for the new batch of the Doula Training. We have reworked the course format a little bit. So we hope to, first of all, answer any of your questions related to doula work in general and the Doula Training, and also specifics related to this course. I'll just start with running you through some of the stuff that I already have. Maybe some of your questions will get answered with that, and then we'll open the house. Okay, so yeah, the first question is really about who is a birth doula. Birth doula is someone who holds space for a mother around the time of birth. So physical support, emotional support, some amount of advocacy to help her to get the kind of birth that she would like, not directly, but usually by educating her, helping her to feel empowered, helping her partner to be confident to ask questions. So that's broadly the typical scope of a doula, but there is a lot more to it. And that is something that I think Divya also realized after working as a doula for many years, that it's not just these three things. It is also about, it's a relationship that you have to build with your client so she feels safe and comfortable. And that is a nuanced skill. It's not something that is very straightforward and easy to learn, which is why this program has been designed the way it has. We have recorded a short video.
Over a period of time, I realized.
Just to explain a little bit about the course and how it goes.
Over a period of time, I realized.
I will play that first. Just checking the sound. 1 second. Yeah, sorry.
Over a period of time, I realized.
I'm just going to quickly tell you, Divya is here on this call. Divya is the founder of the Doula Collective. She started it about 8 years back in 2018 after having worked for a doula, as a doula for about 20 plus years. She was one of the first professionally trained doulas in India back when no one really knew about it. And so she has quite a rich experience of working with different types of families. She was based in Delhi during that time. She did also travel to the US for her training because there was nothing of this sort available back then in India. And around 2018 is when she transitioned out of actively working in birth into trainee, and that is where the Doula Collective began. So I'm just going to let her share with you through this video first, and then we'll have a chat.
Over a period of time, I realized that while we have a rich culture of labor support and supporting women through these really magical times of their life, it wasn't being translated to our culture. So the first idea of having Doula Collective in India was to have a traditional backing, which means that we are looking at women through the lens of our tradition, which has so much to offer. Then we thought that it's not as simplistic as women are pregnant in one phase of their life. It's the same woman going through pregnancy and then motherhood. And so the layered experience of both pregnancy and her own life needed to be taken care of. And that told us that there is more to a woman than just making a birth plan and getting on with it. And finally, we also thought that how are we ever going to embody birth for another person if we haven't felt it in our own bodies? Especially in today's time, when I started working, I found myself very alone. So the core values, I think, for this program was community, which was support, continuity of care, which we wanted to give to the woman and then also bring to ourselves, and not give up our roots. And as we went along, another thing popped up to say that because we were acknowledging women's experiences, we couldn't do away with the fact that women may be overwhelmed and felt helpless in many stages of their life, no matter what background they came from. And that is why trauma-informed care also became a very essential part of what we brought in, not just as a program, but also in the way we spoke, in many elements of how we interacted with women. So this is what the core idea was. It came from my own experiences, both as a mother, as a woman, and as a doula. And then what I saw as practices around the world told me what I didn't want. And I didn't want it to become a place where people just came for a certificate. Though education is important, but so is that continuity of learning constantly growing. So somehow that certification makes you stop there. And then you're imposed with recertifying. Well, we do believe that we keep evaluating ourselves, but we don't believe that it needs to cost us because, in my experience, this isn't the most lucrative career option in the world, but it is the most fulfilling, rewarding one. So these are a couple of things that we thought we won't have, but what we did want to have is to bring back the essence of women connecting with each other and therefore the word collective. So here is Dula Collective for you.
Hi everyone, I'm Neha. I support Divya in running the training and the community, and it's been 8 years now, so we're really proud of that. Um, to me, this doula training program is unique in many ways because I think the entire program has been very purposefully designed. There are multiple layers and multiple ways of learning. Learning isn't linear. You learn, you self learn, you learn with your mentor, you learn by interacting with your peers, and you learn on the job, coming back with experiences that you can discuss with the community. So, all of those different ways of learning is what really enriches your confidence in this work. And learning is not limited to just doula skills. The program really helps you to go a little bit deeper into the understanding of the dynamic nature of body and mind, because both are at play, we know, during pregnancy, birth, postpartum, parenting. Um, Also, I love how community is a very core aspect of this training. We learn through modeling our mentors and peers. And so this space has been built very consciously to be respectful, compassionate, and the ethics of work are not just words, but it is something that you will feel and you will imbibe by seeing that with your, colleagues and mentors in this space. Also, doula training cannot be something that you do and then you're an expert. It does not happen in a few weeks or months. It actually is a lifelong journey of learning more about the mysteries of birth, learning more about how to work with different kinds of clients, and which is why there is no end to learning. Even when you complete your training program, year long program, get the certificate, there is still a space for you to keep coming back to so that you can keep learning and fine tuning your skills better, enriching, the quality of your support. So while I think this is what really stands out in making the program unique, let me also help you understand how the training works. It is an online course, and that is because we have doulas joining from across the country and some even from different countries. And so it's easier for us to meet, of course, online. Um, there are opportunities for you to also have some in-person hands-on skills. We have city level groups where doulas, there are multiple doulas in a city. We encourage them to meet and practice skills together. And of course, we do have our annual doula retreat, which is a space for us to once in a year come together for 3 days and practice a lot of the skills that we have learned through the training program. The program is spread over several months, and that allows you the time to slowly internalize and integrate the various aspects of training that are offered. The first part of it is Seminar 1, which we call the Foundation course. I think this is where the core skills are offered. a good understanding of how the body works, anatomy, physiology, communication skills, doula skills, supporting moms in labor. So that's really the core part of the training. This is a combination of self-paced learning and live webinars once a month. This would take you about 6 months to complete, but sometimes people may not be able to complete it in 6 months. They have the opportunity to take a little bit longer if that's what they need. Once you complete seminar one, you're actually equipped to start offering your services as a doula in training, and we highly recommend that because that's when you can bring in those real life experiences to the rest of the course. Seminar two is what I like to call the heart of the program. This is where we dive a little bit deeper into the understanding of how subconscious conditioning has an influence on how birth goes. What are the biodynamics of birth, how the baby navigates the pelvis, amongst a lot of things going on around that, and also working with complex needs, families that require, special skilled support. So that's what seminar two is. Seminar three is what I like to call the soul of the program. This is what really makes, I think, the doula training very unique because this goes beyond doula skills. This is really about understanding how to work with families in a sensitive way at a time when they're so vulnerable. Ways in which you, as a doula, actually can prevent the occurrence of trauma, and also, if there is, support repair. So that is where I think Divya's um, knowledge and practice of being a trauma therapist, pre and perinatal psychology, all of that, she has put that into this seminar. And that really, I think, helps to complete the offering from our end. And so that equips you to be able to start working more holistically with families.
Okay, so thankfully, all most of the talking got done in that video. We don't have to repeat that. Just very quickly, I already said it, but these are the three seminars. Seminar one is the first one, which is a little longer and covers the core skills, and then two and three. And for you to just have a sense of, this is already there in the brochure, but just to explain it a little bit, the way the course works is that, so in seminar one, for example, there are 4 modules. As you can see, the 4 blocks that are here: knowledge block, doula skills, medical interventions, and the professional skills and client interactions. Each of these 4 blocks have lessons, learning lessons within them, which are pre-recorded study material. So you actually get to go through those lessons at your own time, whenever the time is suitable for you. Each lesson has a few videos that you watch, and then the lesson ends with a quiz. So you complete that quiz, which you do then and there, submit it, and you need to have a minimum of 70% to complete that module. So you complete one whole block at your own pace. You have about a month to do that. Every month, we will have one live interaction, live webinar, which is to basically cover what you learned, but not the theory of it. We're actually going to go through some activities, exercises to help you to integrate that. So once you complete knowledge block, we will end with the webinar of knowledge block. Then you have another month to complete doula skills, and then we end with the webinar of doula skills. And similarly for the other two. I have already put up the schedule here for the upcoming webinars over the next 4 months. So if you start the course, say by end of March, you have the month of April. So 29th April, 17 June, 15 July, and 19th August. These are all Wednesdays from 10 to 1 is when we will have the webinar. I know that this time sometimes may not suit you if you have something going on at that time. So which is why we will do another 4 set of webinars in the next 4 months. So in case you missed any of them, you will have another chance to come back to the webinar, and the next block will then be from September to December. So at least one of the two live webinars you should attend. So attending the live webinar is necessary for you to complete the module. And once you complete all four modules and attend all four live webinars, hopefully you can either complete it in 4 months if you are able to. If you're not able to for various reasons, you have another 4 months. So you have the whole of 8 months to be able to complete seminar one. At the end of seminar one, once you have completed the study material and the quizzes and attended the live webinars, you are officially a doula in training. You will have that certificate. You'll be listed on the directory and you can start working as a doula because you will have the basic skills to start offering your support. We always encourage that. You can offer your support as a doula in training for a few births. You can work along with one of the doulas in your city. Now, that is not very easy. It may not be easy to go to a birth with another doula, but at least prenatal meetings you can attend with one of the doulas. You will also be, and this is something new which we added, which is that every trainee will assign you one peer guide who is basically somebody from the doula community who, because since you're going to be learning on your own, you'll have this one person who you can reach out to for any questions. If there's any place where you're lost, you want to share something, you want some emotional support, you know that your peer guide will also check in with you how you're doing, if there are any challenges. So there'll be somebody who will assign just to handhold you through the course. So yeah, this is kind of what it looks like. Hopefully it's clear. All of this is on our teaching platform, which is called Graphy. I will be sending you the links to it when it's ready and when you are to enroll. So Graphy has these modules inbuilt, which has the course material, the quizzes, the assessments, the webinar links, all of that. So once you join, you basically, once you make the payment there, you have access to that course. I can very quickly just show you what that looks like. Give me one moment. Yeah. So this is our website. If you go to the website, there's a tab here called Study Portal. When you open that, you land up on the Graphy teaching platform. You can go to courses. There's a login here. So once you need to first log in because that will then be your login ID. Once you've logged in, you click on the course. This is seminar one. You go ahead and make the payment. You will have the option to pay in 2 installments if you prefer that. And once you've made the payment, you have access to the course. So the course looks like this, for example. This is just some preview. Then knowledge block. Under knowledge blocks, there's lesson 1 to 8. And each of this has the videos and the quiz. Once you complete this, you can move on to module 2, which is doula skills. So that's kind of how the rest of the course looks. So this is seminar 1. I'm showing you seminar 1 as an example. Seminar 2 and 3 are quite similar. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers, just one second. Is there anything else I wanted to share? Yeah, and I just want to quickly, again, already there in the brochure, but very quickly, I want to run you through some of the things that we feel makes Doula Collective unique. One is, of course, the doula directory. Being on that is valuable because a lot of people search for doulas and land up on the doula directory. Continuous education. Now, once you've completed the full doula training, we have a mentorship program, which is an ongoing continuous education, which we're actually starting this year. You have free access to that for the rest of your life. So you have the opportunity to come back and engage with the community, do case studies together, revise some of the learning. And that is something which is every 2 weeks we have a webinar. That is available to you for good. So this is what we said when we meant it's lifelong learning and you need that lifelong community support. There is no recertification fee. Once you have completed the course, many other doula programs do have every 3 years you have to pay again to recertify, but we have not kept that. But what we will have is some recertification criteria. We want to make sure that you are staying skilled. The criteria will be stuff like attending births, submitting a few write write-ups assignments, making sure that you're attending some of the continuous education, attending at least one retreat. So I'll send you that separately. Of course, the Sangam Doula retreats, you have the first priority access to join the retreats. The first set of spots are filled up by Doula Collective Doulas. And then we have our very active WhatsApp group of the doulas in the community, which is very valuable to many of us. And then collaboration. We have city-wise groups at each city. We get together and plan stuff. Like Doula Week is coming up now. So in many cities, we are planning some Doula Week get-togethers. In fact, those of you who are in any of those cities, do reach out and come and meet the rest of the community. So those are some of the things that are add-ons to the course. So yeah, I'm going to stop talking now and I'm going to open up. If any of you have any thoughts, any questions, feel free to jump in. Divya, if there's also anything that you want to add.
No, I think it covered it all. I just want to hear from everybody now.
I have a question.
Yes.
So for example, for where I live, I don't think there are any birth courses for parents, like multi-people group classes. So if for example, I wanted to do doula work and also lead a class to reach more people, would that be overlapping with any of the different methods like Lamaze or any other methods?
I don't know if I understood your question. The course trains you as a doula, but the
Right.
content is something that is overlaps a lot with birth education. So if you do want to also offer birth education, you can, but as not as a Lamaze or under any of the other titles. So you're welcome to have birth education because it will equip you to some extent to do that. But the focus of the course is not birth education; it is doula support. Does that answer
Right.
your question? Was that
Is,
your question?
yes, but is it closely more aligned to one of the different types of, like this specific course material? Like, would it be more specifically, would it fit better with teaching a Lamaze class versus teaching another type of already, some or curriculum that's already there to certify people to teach birth classes?
Divya, what do you say?
This is not certifying you to teach a class at all. So there is no, there is no comparison between
Okay.
apples and apples.
Okay.
The birth doesn't change no matter who teaches it. It's not like anybody can teach a technique so different than the others. So there are some key principles to human beings, like women give birth, or they have a cycle, or if you breathe deeper, you get calmer. If you're calm, your hormones work better. If you're excited, your stress hormones work. So these are common principles. They're called physiology. Those you study. Now, will you be able to educate women you work with? Yes. But will you be able to call it a childbirth class? No.
Okay, I have
Aparna,
a question.
you want to add something to this, Aparna?
Yes, just to answer someone who asked about the birth education bit. I'm Aparna. I have been practicing as a doula for the past 6 years in Delhi NCR. I am not a certified birth educator, but with the doula training and over the time, my experience of working with families, it has become very comfortable. There are people who do not want to sign up for a Lamaze class or a hypnobirthing class. And but during my course of interaction with them, in a lot of prenatal meetings, I am able to provide them with the basic education because I do understand the physiology of birth and how things work and how would labor be. So I am very equipped, basis my doula education and training, to be able to hold those education sessions with them. So yeah.
I think it will depend on you. Like I do both, and I actually play very different roles. In my birth educator hat, I'm very different. And as a doula, I'm very different. So it depends on how you want to work. But this course is not designed to
Yes.
make you to equip you to hold a birth class. You can do it, but that's not the intention.
Good
Um,
question.
Heta, yes.
Yeah. Once we have finished the entire course, which is an online course, and maybe in the interim we also attend a doula retreat. But say you start practicing as a doula, but of course the first few times that we go to work, are we going to be able to shadow another doula? Because that's the most, like, I don't think. Of course, I've seen my doula be there for me in so many multiple dynamics during both my births. But I wouldn't have known that to be on the other side and be a doula. I was, the one giving birth, and I was the one who was pregnant. So do we get to do that? And will we be helped with being able to shadow other doulas in our city?
So when you had Nikita as your doula and you had these prenatal meetings and she was at your birth, how would you have felt if, I mean, would you have been okay if she brought along somebody else for the meetings and for the birth?
I remember this one time she did,
Mm.
and I can't remember who she had brought along because we had it was an online meeting, and she had as a backup doula just in case anything happens to, sort of not fit into her schedule.
Mm.
But I was extremely comfortable with her only after we did the online meeting.
Yeah. That
So
actually answers the question. So a stranger just coming in and being at the birth to watch and learn is something that doesn't make sense because birth is such a thing that the observer changes the what is happening. But if there is somebody who has come with the doula for prenatal meetings, developed a relationship with the client feels comfortable with them, maybe as a backup doula, maybe as a trainee, a helper, whatever, and the client is okay for that trainee backup doula to be part of the birth, it might work. So it really depends. We do encourage working doulas to mentor newer doulas as much as possible, as much as the client is comfortable with it. So to answer your question, will you have the opportunity to tag along with some of the other doulas for prenatal meetings? Certainly. As a backup doula is a great way to start working because sometimes, we need backup. So you come in as a backup that gets you to be there for meetings, maybe attend a birth. Is it a part of the program or a requirement of the program? No, because it depends. It depends on where you are. If you have someone, if it works. So it's not a requirement, it's not a necessity, but it is something that you can do if there are other doulas where you are located.
understood. Thank you.
No. Hello, Saru? There's someone there who's raised their hand.
Hi, Neha. Hi, my name is Sarita.
Hmm.
I have a question to ask. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm also a prenatal and postnatal yoga teacher. So I want to understand how this course is different from this birth educator certification and then prenatal and postnatal teacher uh, training certificate, and then this one. What is the difference between these three?
What do you mean by prenatal, postnatal certificates?
Yoga
Like
teacher.
yoga? Or
Yoga.
yoga
Yeah.
is completely different. Yoga is yoga.
Yeah.
This is not yoga. Childbirth
Yes, right.
education also, like Divya said earlier, the focus is different. It is about equipping couples to understand a little bit more about birth so they feel more confident in
Ah.
making choices. So the objective is different. Doula is a
Hmm.
companion for the mother and the partner through
Okay.
her journey. We are not there we don't have, our objective is so she feels supported and so she feels safe. And that then goes on to have a birth that feels positive for her. So if you look at the content, there may be
Hmm.
some similarities. Yes,
Okay.
we also study anatomy, physiology, but the perspective from which we study it is different from the perspective in a yoga class.
Right.
So content there may be some overlap, but the manner in which you will start seeing a lot of this information will be very different because now it's not about you anymore. Now it's about the mother you're serving.
Hmm.
And which is where I said, between a childbirth educator and a doula, I have to switch hats.
Hmm.
As a childbirth educator, I'm offering objective information. As a doula, That's not important. I need to understand from the mother, what does she want? She want information. She may not even want information. She may want to vent. She may want to be heard. She may want to cry. So you're playing a very different kind of a role, and this course is designed for that. So it is different from prenatal yoga and childbirth education, and we have many doulas who have done that before and have kind of added on doula training to that.
I'll make it even simpler. When you're a prenatal teacher or a childbirth educator, your education, you're the expert who's offering their expertise.
Yeah.
When you're labor support person, mother is the expert.
Right.
So you are going to adapt to her. In other classes, they are going to adapt to you. That's a very key difference. So your education is your support, but you're not offering it to the mother. You are using your education to connect with her expertise.
Right.
Whereas in the others, you're using your expertise, your education as your expertise to tell her what to do.
Okay.
Very different. And you don't, if you're a prenatal teacher or a childbirth, you don't wake up at 2:30 at night as a doula you do.
Yeah, right. Because there is not much information available on internet about this, which is why I asked this question. Thank you so much for answering.
If I may ask a question.
Sure, Ravina.
So I just wanted to understand that is the certification is verified internationally or recognized internationally, or it's just across the country?
Doula is a non-medical professional. No doula certificate has any accreditation of any medical body. So our certificate in that sense is no different from, say, Kappa, or their certificates even by the organization. There is no government or accrediting body for doula certificates because it is not a clinical skill. So in that sense, I don't know whether that answers your question. It is more about
I want to add to that, but it's recognized by, say, CARET.
Okay.
It's recognized by organizations as a professional and skillful certificate. Say, for example, if somebody is enrolled with a certain program for insurance, or then that company recognizes our training quality. But there is no body in the world that says, oh, I'm comparing doulas from Doula Collective, doulas from Kappa. There is no such licensing that allows us to give you a certificate.
It's the credibility of the organization. And I think for us, this was now, since we've been doing this for 8 years, there's a decent amount of credibility built in India. A lot of doctors now know Doula Collective, a lot of people have heard of. So in that sense, I think, I don't know, I feel that there is more recognition needed than credibility of the organization.
We were also recognized when we were invited to the evidence-based podcast as a community and as a training. And then what I hear from this CARET.
At the Fernandez conference you spoke. So when you're
Invited me as
recognized
faculty.
across other organizations, that is what builds your credibility. There's nothing more than that. Somebody has a question here about how is the course different from other courses. Honestly, that's what I just covered. So if you can go through, I don't know too much about what the Kappa and Sierra courses are. So you can compare, you can look at what is their curriculum, what is their course design. Our brochure has our curriculum, our course design. So it's really up to you to see. And I think that's what that video that I played was about, to explain what it is that the Doula Collective is different in our understanding. How much can a doula earn in a month, and how many cases can a doula realistically take up in a month or year? That is a tricky question. First of all, we don't call our clients cases because we are not medical practitioners. They are not patients.
Yeah, hi, that was my question. I
Yeah,
had
so
asked that question. I meant by like pregnancy cases,
Sure.
not the person, but the situation. Yeah.
So there are no rules on this, but as a doula, you are available on call 24/7. When you're at a birth, you're not just giving yourself your 100% physically, you're also being very present, emotionally holding space for the mother and the family. So it's an intense um, several hours. And so in our experience, doing more than 2, 3 births in a month can be very draining. And you have to, I mean, there are sometimes doulas who do it, but do find it hard. So 2, 3 is what up to what most of us do. But honestly, even that, it takes time to reach that level because you need to build first your credibility. Your clients will start trusting you when you've been at births, when they know people whose doula you have been. So it takes time to get there. And in terms of how much you earn, it can vary a lot.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. And there is no, I mean, rarely anybody who joins this profession looks at it as the main career. I'd said it earlier as well. You can do more births, but then you'll have to have a group practice, a good backup. But between people, I mean, think of it this way: if you're going to be on call for somebody about 10 days before their due date and after, how many do you think you can fit on your calendar? That's entirely up to you. And what happens when you're busy with someone and another client goes into labor? So you'll have to think of these things in a more practical way before you can find your own answer to that.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. I just had a small follow-up on that question.
I'll just
So,
1 minute, Ruchi. I'll just tell you in terms of doula
yeah.
fees, if you want an idea, trainee doulas usually offer their support free, of course, for the first few births because you want to learn. In the beginning, in the first year, maybe 5-10,000 rupees, like just as a something you want to charge, but not much. Doulas with a little bit more experience are charging between 10 to 20,000 in smaller towns. In larger towns, more experience, 25 to 35,000. So that's kind of the range where it is. But also, again, very depends on what you're offering. What is your doula support package look like? What are the number of meetings you're offering? How many times will you meet postpartum prenatally? So, which is why it varies a lot depending on how you're.
Right.
Are you
Yeah. So
finding birth education?
yeah, my follow-up question was regarding that. So like the packages that you just spoke about, that is something that is up to us to define, right? Like, or does the doula collective kind of, outline that in some way, or also like support in formulating that package, like, or are the doulas by ourselves, we decide on how to go about it?
You decide on your own, it's up to you, but we will give you some guidelines and suggestions on what we feel would be both ethical, professional, as well as keeping in mind your self-care. So I think if you're, yeah, Divya, you want to say
I'll
something?
add to that. Firstly, there aren't going to be packages as they are commonly understood. Right. So they're not like, okay, 6-visit package or 3-visit package. It's going to be the way you work. I like to meet my client 3 times at least before we go into birth and 2 postpartum. I like to do that's my minimum. And then it can be more, but the more doesn't cost extra. It's not like 6 will cost a little bit more, and that kind of packaging is not there. Our guideline is towards ethics, not towards pricing and what you hope to offer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you need help in understanding how to do this, we are there for support. So all 3 have very different aspects from us.
Absolutely. That's what I wanted to know. Do you offer any kind of guideline, or is it just like completely left up to us to define that?
It's purely ethical because we want to have a fine line between commerce or the financial part of it and the commercialization of it. There's a very fine line. And because it's a collective and we need each other to support and we promised to be sisterhood, it's not going to be a competitive market where packaging, the norms will change. So we will guide that. And we like to hold that a little bit sacrosanct because that is how we've developed the soul of this collective. So you will get guidance there, and you will also get support and help if you want to understand what do I do in my first meeting, and then decide, okay, how many did you need? And that it's an iterative process. We change as we go along.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, just one last question. Sorry for
I'm going to
keeping
step
everyone
out
up.
now because I have a
Okay.
seminar class going
Yeah,
on.
I'm
So,
here, Divya.
Okay.
I'll
yeah,
take the rest of it.
thank you very much. And thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here. Bye-bye.
Yeah, Ruchi, tell me.
Thank you. So yeah, just going back to the first question that I had put in chat. So the comparison with Kappa and Sierra Academy, and you answered that part of the question. I just wanted to add a little bit more over there and ask you. So I did find some free courses online as well, and some like online training courses which are priced lesser, that don't have all the extra advantages of the community and the local, the aspect of being in India, being with other doulas in India. So of course, leaving those advantages aside, I just want to understand how how different would a practice be, or a practitioner as a doula would be, if we would take up one of the online courses or free of cost courses. Like, can we still go ahead and perform the same way as providing the care that a person needs, the birthing experience and things like that? I'm asking you, because you are so experienced in the field. I just want to know how it would vary depending on the kind of source of training we take.
I really honestly don't have so much to say. Obviously, the quality of the training will have an effect on the quality of your skills. Who's saying? Yasmita, go ahead.
Smita. Hi. So I think one of the main difference, of course, I relate to what I think Rucha is speaking, Ruchi. So I think one of the primary differences is that since the community is strong, and since like you said, I can keep coming back and going through the courses. What happens with the free courses most times is that it's the basic guidelines are given, and they don't really make you ready for the real situation. Um, uh, Situation event, as in here is the case of a pregnant mother. And I think the hands-on, the like you said, in training doula. So what happens is I still have someone whom I can go back and ask and question and come back. I think these are the main difference, and the community itself is so powerful that you can go back and keep questioning and answering and studying, which makes me more skilled to handle that particular situation, because birth work itself is so dynamic, and I think that is one of the major difference here. I hope this helps.
No, and even if you look at the course design, all of the live webinars for 4 modules are not theory. They are all in this situation,
Experiential.
what would we do? If this is what
Yeah.
our client tells us, what would we do? If this is what is happening in a labor, what would we do? So it is all about application of the knowledge. So you do your self-study to learn something, which is important because that is the knowledge that then you will apply in those real world situations. So the training is not just teaching you, giving you the knowledge, but making you start thinking about how you will apply it in different situations. So I think that would probably be the main difference.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Neha,
Geeta, you
Smita,
want to say
and
something?
Divya.
Yeah, the thing that I also want to add is that apart from, I think, just receiving the basic information on the anatomy and physiology, which is usually what is taught in the other doula training programs, there is this piece of the trauma-informed care, which is not there anywhere. And the other thing is that this course is being taught by someone who's worked as a doula for so many years, while she's also being supported by other doulas who are still working. So I think that makes a huge difference because there is one thing to learn theory, but there's another thing to continue to speak to other, members of the community, your mentors, your peers, and keep learning like Neha said, like what happens in the birth room. That is something that you can't just get from books. And more than anything else, I think the other courses are mostly a lot of self-study with a few days of interaction. That's where it ends. So yeah, I mean, I really don't think that will ever make anyone feel super ready. I mean, I would say that when I finished the training, did I feel like super ready to walk into the birth room and say that, like I know what to do? The answer is no. You learn it over a period of time, and then you bring back to the group and say, what, this happened and I did this, and could I have done differently? So those kind of interactions make a huge difference to um, how you work and how you support women. And like everyone said, every woman, every family is so different.
the interactions enrich you. Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. I think the trauma-informed care is something that just sets everything apart also.
And no one is saying the most important thing. Just Divya. Divya is so amazing. Like the perspectives that she brings in,
Yeah.
they really make you question a lot of things which you have just assumed. She
Yeah.
will just flip that over for you, and she does it in such a hilarious way as well. So that is, I think, to me, I just stayed with the Dula Collective because every time I interacted with Divya, I learned something, whether it
Yes.
was a general chit chat or whether it was in a course. And I think that is something that all the other doulas will tell you.
It's like nuggets of so much wisdom that keep falling without she even knowing that she's
Which just
dropping these
stay
nuggets.
and come back to you at a moment when you're lost and you're feeling like, shit, I don't know anything. And then she's like, yeah, shit, none of us know shit anyway. So it's fine to not know anything or something like that, she'll say. And then you'll be like, oh, it's okay to not know. It's okay. I can be humble enough to say that I don't know because that's how birth is. And so those I think I think that is really the key difference besides a lot of this other stuff.
Yeah.
And that's hard to explain. That you only have to experience.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Samprada, Elizabeth, you guys have questions.
Can
What?
I?
Jump.
Hi.
All right, so let's start.
Yeah, Samprada.
Yeah, hi everyone. This is Sampada. I'm a prenatal yoga coach. I'm working digitally all these years. I haven't taken any offline sessions. So, related to doula course, I have a question. Like, I recently visited my gynecologist where I delivered my two babies there, and I wanted to take up prenatal yoga classes for their clients. So, they were not really ready to go up with an online sessions. Okay, so I didn't understand whether it is related to the revenue share they are not comfortable or is, and they told me that you cannot directly meet the gynae consultant and you need to come along the way and then from the I mean the authority where the hierarchy goes, right? So I need to visit them and there the it goes. And the discussion happened and it was paused and I couldn't go ahead with the next step. So my question here is like when I do this doula certification, and is it something like we will be learning how do we communicate with doctors or with the hospital staff? Or are there any opportunities like to understand the pricing? Okay, you said me that over the experience we will understand how to get it, and by the time we get the trust from the clients and we understand all that. Okay, but how do we deal with these hospital setup? Are we going to get the clients through hospital or are they going to follow us through an Instagram and then reach us? How are things and how it's
So institutionalized birth is quite political. Just like you said a little bit, there is politics, there are doctors, there is a hospital admin, there will be nurses who want to protect their turf, and there is all of that going on, and it is not easy to deal with that. There are some doulas who work closely with hospitals and have to find a way to work with that. But honestly, the way we see our work and we have designed the training is that doesn't matter. Our job is to support families and help women to deal with all of that and feel like someone's got my back and be able to give birth wherever they feel comfortable. So it doesn't matter to us about all of this politics. Now, whether you want to engage with that or not is your choice. Some of us doulas, like I work like that, Nikita works like that, many of us do, which is we work independently. It's not easy because we have to build our own practice. Over a period of time, you get word of mouth. Then, people, gradually now all my work only comes through word of mouth mostly. Hardly anyone, I'm there on Instagram, but hardly anyone finds me on Instagram. It's basically word of mouth. But there are some doulas who are, say, they're a lactation counselor in a hospital or they are a yoga teacher, and then they offer doula support to clients in that hospital, and they do have to deal with the politics. There will be all of this, so much cut for us. We have referred your client. So we don't focus on that. We are focusing you to do a really good job of being a doula. Then you decide which path you want to take.
Yeah, got it. Thank you so much. And one more question I had, like will the advocacy differs country to country? Because I've one of my friend who has done doula course in India. Once she moved to Canada, she did a different course over there. She mentioned that the advocacy differs from country to
Advocacy
country.
doesn't differ, people differ. People, in the way in which Indians advocate for themselves is very different from the way Americans and Canadians do. There, they are far more direct. They have a birth plan. The medical team largely sticks to the birth plan. There's very objective professional discussion. In India, your doctor will say, "Why are you asking me so many questions? If you think you know everything, go give birth yourself." So the manner in which we advocate for ourselves has to be very different. And culturally also, Indian women are non-confrontational. We don't feel comfortable questioning our doctor because we are scared. What if I, tick her off in the wrong way? She's going to ultimately, she's going to be responsible. So the manner in which Indian women advocate for themselves is different, and which is why we have to understand that. And no one does that better than doula, because as a doula, I am working closely with my clients. I'm understanding her personality. I'm understanding what is her way of advocating. Sometimes just being silent and smiling and maybe her way of staying safe. Yeah, other questions also we'll take. Elizabeth.
Hi, so I have two questions. I'll ask the more simple question first. So for women who are working as a doula, and for example, they get pregnant and have a baby, do they work? Can you work like with a client, offer like partial services? Do like say like I'm only going to be able to do prenatal, and I'm not going to be able to stay overnight at the hospital. Can you are there examples of that, partial services?
See, you can do it if you're very clear and transparent about it upfront. So that's what we're saying. You can do whatever as long as you're very clear and you're not leaving your client in that zone where they suddenly feel abandoned. So, which is why we said, we're not laying out strict rules on how you work. As long as those important ethics, one of the important ethics is transparency, professional interaction, clearly saying what I'm going to do and what I'm going to charge you for, then you can. Because there are clients who sometimes like for example, I have been with some clients whose hospital does not allow a doula, but they still want to have the engagement. So we do prenatal meetings. I'm there on call for them. I'm not physically there for the birth. And that itself helps them to feel supported.
So adding to her question, Elizabeth question, do the course equip us or make us aware that yeah, this shouldn't happen, or the dose or this particular medicine shouldn't be given at this point of time? Does the course
We are not clinicians. We are not learning medical clinical skills. That is not supposed to be our expertise. There is a whole module on medical interventions, but the objective of that module is so we can help our clients understand medical interventions, ask questions, participate in decision making. We are not giving any medical advice. That's in fact very important for us to know our boundaries. If we start giving medical advice and then complications happen, then you need to also be responsible for that advice. And you're not skilled to be able to take on that responsibility.
Okay, again, uh, for example, I have a client, and I she asked me like what they are injecting me with. How does it help?
Yeah. You
We
can
can answer
explain
that
to her.
question. We
Surely
can
you
answer
should,
that
to the
question.
extent to which you understand. You don't have to understand it in depth. You have to understand it. For example, induction. What does an induction mean? What are some of the common ways of inducing? What are the pros and cons of different types of induction methods? What does that induction method look like? What is it gonna do to my body? Those are the kind of things that you should be able to help her understand. You don't have to get into what is the chemical, what is the side effect of that chemical in your system. Those technical things you don't need to know. You can say, I don't know. And maybe she can ask her doctor those questions.
Okay. So for any medical advice, we should always refer to the doctor because that's their expertise, not ours as a doula.
The client should refer to her doctor.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Yes.
Thank
It
you.
is not our job to refer to the doctor. The client should, if she needs information on some medical advice, she should ask her doctor. Her doctor or her midwife is her primary care provider, is her medical care provider. We should not confuse the roles. This role clarity is very important. And we will discuss that a lot through the course. Yeah, when there is the presence of a doula, I mean, research has clearly shown the need for intervention is lesser, the need for pain medication is lesser, mothers manage labor better, and therefore the need for augmentation is lesser. So while you're not directly influencing the medical decision making, the need for a lot of these interventions reduces because the mother is calm, she feels supported, she's making more oxytocin, her labor is progressing better. It may not always, sometimes in spite of that, the birth may end up with interventions and a C-section. But the presence of a doula is clearly proven to reduce the need for medical intervention. It also makes the mother and the father more confident to ask questions and say no. When they're clueless and they're lost and they feel kind of cornered, they think they need to say yes to everything. But when they have a doula, they may say, hey, but maybe we'll wait. We don't want the induction now. And then while you're not directly doing it, your presence is making them feel like I can say no, I can wait. So there's a very indirect um, influence on reducing unnecessary medical interventions. It's not so direct, but there is definitely an influence. Mika, do you have a question? Your hand is raised. And Sonali. Yeah.
I have just one question that how much this hi Neha.
Hi.
I how much does this course covers emotional regulation for the mother when it comes to identity shift or the fear of this life transition altogether. So does this course provide that how do you help them feel better during this journey before
So
delivery and post?
in the third seminar, which is the trauma informed care seminar, that's where basically Divya is a somatic experiencing practitioner, pre and perinatal psychologist, trauma therapist. So, but she has flipped that in the specific understanding of during the pre and perinatal postpartum period. What is it that the mother and the baby go through? What is it that can cause trauma in that situation? How can we get a sense of that, identify that? How can we prevent it in the first place? And then if there is some signs of trauma, how can we help repair and regulate? So in that helping to repair and regulate, there are some tools that she teaches on, which are essentially to do with presence, communication, less about, they're not therapeutic. We're not training to become therapists. It is about what quality of presence you bring in your interactions with her. How do you respond when she says something? How do you respond when she starts crying because she felt her birth was traumatic? How do you hold space for her? How do you allow her innate healing ability to get activated? So more in that sense, not in a you're not going to be equipped to become like a postpartum counselor or a therapist. That is a different kind of a skill. You're still a doula. So the core skill is as a doula. But as a doula, when you have this sensitivity built in, your presence reduces trauma and kind of increases the chances of repair and regulation. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you do. As you know that this is my primary interest, related to my work. So I wanted to understand, like, I'm curious about building a space for women during pregnancy. That I feel from then only your mind shift and everything start changing and all the wounds start to reappear.
Yeah.
And then after, of course, post where that reality actually hits.
Yeah.
And I wanted to understand how much this course would support that.
So
And
there have been, I think that's a good question that you asked, because while this is a birth doula training program, not everyone who trains as a birth doula will work as a birth doula. You might actually find your own niche. which might be related to supporting a mother around pregnancy and childbirth, but in your own way. But I think in order to do that, a good deep understanding of birth is important because, there are therapists, counselors who work with women around this time, but they miss something in that understanding because they don't understand the dynamic of birth itself. So I feel the course gives you that depth. You go into the depth of understanding birth, understanding what a woman experiences when she goes through birth, and then you can harvest that information and use it the way you want. You may not necessarily do labor support with it. So that is something that you can. There are a few doulas who have not done the training, but they're not working as doulas. They're using the skill to support their families. They're using the skill in their in their prenatal yoga practice. They're using their skill in their therapy, counseling practice. So that is definitely something you can do if you want
And
to.
for that, you recommend going through all three seminars or
That's up
particular?
to you. I mean, I feel that when you go through all three seminars, you cover the full depth of the course, because it is sequenced in that way. Seminar one gets you to understand the basics of what goes on during pregnancy, birth, postpartum, the physiology of it, what happens in labor, what labor support means. Support in labor is a very nuanced skill. People think it's massage and position changes. It's not that. It's really about really coming to the same frequency, the same wavelength as that woman in labor. And so if you have the bandwidth to go through all three, I would recommend that.
Yeah, because I told you how much I was curious about it, but listening to all this, I was like, okay, with my own baby, I cannot do this for
Yeah,
at
that's
least
also
next 3
something for
years.
you to think about. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
would say that to everyone, which is while you're drawn to this, you should do it when you feel like, but also do it with a sense of commitment. And yes, in terms of time, we do understand that sometimes, yeah, we have babies, we have, things that happen. And so, which is why we're giving that flexibility. In fact, once you enroll, your course is actually available for you for 3 years to complete. Anytime in 3 years to complete. After 3 years, it will lapse. You'll have to re-enroll. But in that 3-year period, you can come back and re-attend and complete. Once you've completed the seminar, you have that course access for life. So we do understand that this flexibility is needed for women, especially women with babies. And, that's now you have to decide whether this is the time or not, or do you want to join and do part of it now and come back to it later?
Yeah. Like I'm definitely not ready for this birthing support right now,
Yeah.
like at any hour, but I
Yeah.
would love to learn is what I was thinking. Thank you.
Yeah. Elizabeth, Mika. Yeah. Heta, you had a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
How do moms, of course, I think we individually find our path anyway, but how do moms with young children, especially when you're co-sleeping, um, be able to, once you do reach that place where you are working and you are supporting mothers and you have to sort of up and leave in the middle of the night. Of course, I think a strong support system at home, a supportive partner, maybe other caregivers come into play. But I would really, of course, in the course of the course, would also like to know from doulas who are moms with younger children, like I am, how did you all navigate that?
Madhumati, Nikita, my younger one was 3 when I started, so not that young. Nikita's was young.
Yeah, I started when Kabir was 1 year old.
So do you want to answer her question? How did you do that? How did you
You
manage
can
to
put
leave her birth?
Siddhi next to the kids, Heta. I told you Kabir slept through the first birth I went by holding my sister's hair, thinking it was
Yeah, yeah. Maybe
so
I can do that with because Nama is also a very good sleeper so far, and she's comfortable to sleep next to, Siddhi or Jash or whoever, but Shiv is not there yet. My older one, who's almost 2 years old in less than a month, is like he's a co-sleeper. He needs my smell, he needs my hair. And how does one sort of, do this also while having young co-sleeping children at home?
Two things. One is that to be going to births regularly, it takes time. It will take you 1 to 2 years to complete the course and feel ready, and then you will start maybe do one birth in a few months. So it
By
takes
then,
time.
my younger one is going to be a year old. And I remember also because my birth was like a destination birth, so to say. And I remember Nikita had to like plan and organize so many different elements for her kids to be okay, for her to be able to attend my birth, which was so far away. Like I said, it's really far away. But to just have a slight vision and slight certainty in that department, because that is one area that makes me very anxious right now because we are co-sleeping parents. We've never had kids in separate rooms. We've never had separation. We've not had one night apart from Shiv and me being apart on the night of my birth, second birth. And that's the only area that I would, worry about. But like you
Yeah,
said,
that is an important logistic for doula. For if you're offering labor support, you have to work out the logistics of being on call 24/7. It really sounds like something small. It is not, because you're basically prioritizing going for that birth over your children's birthdays, festivals, your children falling sick. And which is why doing 1 to 2 births, at the most 3 births a month, is what is you can do. You can't do more than that, because then you are just like all over the place. And so which is why that going back to that question that came earlier, which is that you do a few births, and which is why we need lots of doulas, because not like any of us are going to be like taking all the work that's available in this city or this country. No, we need many doulas so that all of us can do a little bit of it. That's the only way it's possible.
Yeah, I will. I think, like I said, individually we figure out our path. But it just helps to know from other mothers their experience of how they manage this, especially because this is not a regular corporate job where you're away 9 to 6.
Yeah. This is
You're.
where the community comes in. We will have a lot of these conversations.
Yeah, I just like to add one more thing, that birth work becomes such a big part of our lives that our children also start to understand. I remember, I think my younger one was about 2.5 years old. And one day in the morning, he woke up and he couldn't find me in the room. And he went and woke up the older one and said, Mama is not home. वो birth पे गई है. I was there in the house. I was in the other part of the house, but his first reaction was, Mama is at a birth now. So they learn, and when they're constantly hearing the terms, they're constantly seeing you do this, then it also starts becoming a part of their lives in some ways. So they find a way around our rhythms as well, while we find our rhythms around them.
Let's take your last few questions, Mika and Elizabeth. Okay, no. Elizabeth, you have a question?
Yeah, so it's again about the education. So, for example, if the patient is interested, like seems interested in getting some education, they want some information about things beforehand in the prenatal visit. But the stuff in the literature is different than the stuff that's being practiced. So, is that something that's like commonly discussed in the doula collective? Like what's going on that we can, make them informed about?
Absolutely, yes. That's what we often discuss, because a lot of what's going on is not the best practice, but which is where we want to also understand why is that happening? Why are people agreeing to it? Why are doctors preferring those practices? So there is a lot of conversation that we have around that, which helps us to be more aware, and therefore help our client be more aware of what they're stepping into. We can't change things directly, but if we understand it a little bit more deeply, that equips our clients to work with the system.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for being here.
So the webinar date one was April 29th. So we have to finish one block before that.
One block. Yeah.
So that means we'll be starting at least by the end of the
Yeah,
month.
latest by 1st April, it'll be ready, probably before that. So I think in another week's time, you should be ready to enroll and start. And it's honestly, it's not too much. So each of the lessons have videos of about 20 to 40 minutes. And so the first block has 8 lessons. So those videos what you need to watch, because that's the class, recorded class material. The quiz will take you 10 minutes. And then there is additional resources which you can go through if you have the time. So I think if you can take out an hour per lesson. So the first block has 8 lessons. So that's 8 hours over 1 month. It's very doable, but it's important to commit that time. But it is work that you're going to sit in your time, in your quiet space, and learn and write some notes and research a little bit, write down questions that you want to discuss in the webinars. If you can plan your life around those 8 to 10 hours in a month, you really don't need more than that. Then you will enjoy the course as well as not feel like it's too much. Okay, thanks everyone. See you, some of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Really great and very informative.
I'm glad.
Yeah, it was a great session.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.